Welcome to Top Tier Wrestling, your ultimate destination for all things going on in the world of professional wrestling. Whether you're a hardcore wrestling fanatic or just a casual viewer, we've got you covered with the latest news, in depth show reviews, and our unfiltered opinions. Get ready to step into the ring with us and stay on top of the wrestling world. This is Top Tier Wrestling. Welcome to the Top Tier Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Donda Rousey, joined as always by my podcast partner in crime, Josh Shafir. We're here to talk about AEW's latest pay-per-view installment, Revolution, from March 15th. Let's get into it.
Oh no, I'm the problem. Oh man. I saw what you did there with your nickname. Spoiler.
Good.
Um this AEW Revolution kicks off flying. We start with the tail end of 0 Hour's 21-man battle royal for the national championship, currently being at the time held by Ricochet. It's only down to the last 3 men. It's El Clone, Jack Perry, and Ricochet in the ring, but Perry quickly eliminates El Clone over the top rope, and that just leaves Jack Perry and Ricochet. And in short order, they are out on the apron fighting, and Jack Perry almost eliminates himself trying a sunset flip powerbomb to Ricochet, leaving Perry's feet dangling just centimeters above the floor. And it's like, oh man, he's so going to lose. Because like all Ricochet would have to do at that point is probably let go, and Jack Perry would touch first. But Ricochet clings on, and Perry manages to muscle up and edge under the ring. But after a couple of strike exchanges between him and Ricochet, with Ricochet still out on the apron, Jack Perry ascends to the top turnbuckle, another dangerous position when you're in a battle royale and can eliminate yourself. And it looks like that's going to be the case as Ricochet attempts to pull him off the top onto his shoulder. But that's when Jack Perry reverses it into a poison rana on the damn apron. Gross. And that eliminates Ricochet and allows Jack Perry to become the new AEW National Champion. And that's how we began Revolution, with a big title change right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And that's not even technically the start of Revolution. That's just the end of 0 Hour. Insane. But I can't say that I'm unhappy that Jack Perry got the belt off of bald Ricochet.
Yeah, it was a long time coming. I'm happy. I'm happy about it. As long as
It-
Jack Perry remains a face, then I'm okay with him because I just don't like his version of a heel.
yeah, I agree. I've liked him much better since he's been Jungle Jack Perry.
Yeah.
And he's also been wrestling better, as I believe you've pointed out in prior
Yep.
podcasts. It's like with the character change, he got a moveset change, and now he's much more entertaining to watch in the ring.
Yeah.
But that was a hot way to kind of start Revolution, and it sets the tone for what comes next, which is a huge match to open the show with. It is the AEW World Tag Team Championship match. FTR, the current champions, with Big Stoke defeating the Young Bucks, unfortunately. And what were your thoughts on this match?
Okay. So I'm not gonna lie. I was extremely surprised that the Young Bucks did not win this. They set they set us up, man. They set us up good. They even had the cheesy kids coming out there talking about Daddy, I'm leaving Daddy. Like they
Yeah,
had it
yeah, the baby
all.
Bucks came to the ring and were dancing around for a bit during the Bucks entrance and everything.
They freaking like those kids, first of all, they better had already known that they were not going to win, and they should have been blessed or gifted with a whole bunch of goodies for going through that traumatic traumatic experience. Like
Watching their
they should
dad and
be
uncle get beat.
yeah, they should be toyed up for quite some time. Um, you guys owe them that. But yeah, I was really surprised that they didn't win. It was a great match. It was a great match, and it was
Yeah.
full of, like, oh my God, are they about to win? No, no, no. Oh my God, are they about to win? Oh, it was full of that. Um,
Yeah, so many false finishes.
yeah, and freaking Stokely, that little rat bastard. Uh, just yeah, this was a great, I guess, a great official like officially, it's the opening match for the show. Holy crap! What a freaking way to open the show, and it set the mood. Like, get ready. Go ahead and get you.
Yeah, you're right about that for sure. Yeah.
Get ready to grab your comfort blanket, do whatever you need to do, because this is about to be a very uncomfortable 3.5, 4 hours. You must be very sad, but also very entertained.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
But yeah, I thought this was a great opener, but I like, it's been a long time since a promotion has really surprised me with their outcome, because you start to see the patterns, and you start, so you're like, oh yeah, well, he's won here, but then he won here, so this is definitely going to be, so and so's match, and you get real comfortable in that. And there's one thing that AEW does. It is definitely, it keeps you on your feet, like, keeps you on your toes, because you really, I thought I had this pegged, man. I really did. And I thought if
Yeah.
anybody was gonna take the belts off of FTR, it was gonna be the Young Bucks. But the cool thing about AEW is, or one of the cool things, I think, in my personal opinion, and I'm not just like kissing ass or whatever. I really do love AEW's promotion. I think it's a fantastic promotion. And right now they are riding high. If that changes, you'll definitely hear it from me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I'm not kissing ass. I'm just being honest. In my opinion, they're tops right now. Their storylines, creative is chef's kiss. Um, but one of the many cool things about AEW is the Young Bucks lost on a PPV. They lost on this promotion. They could win the belts on a fucking Dynamite. Like, like AEW, zero fucks be given. Um, they could win those belts on a Collision like 2 weeks from now. Like, it really
Yeah.
it really doesn't matter here. So I thought this was a great opener. um, the Bucks are, of course, one of the best tag teams. FTR, one of the best tag teams. I mean, we just have to admit they're pretty damn spectacular.
Yeah, they're
Um,
good.
yeah. So yeah, this was fantastic. What did you think?
Uh, this was a super banger of a match, and while I personally am, I mean, no disrespect to FTR, but I'm a huge fan of the Young Bucks. I think they are it. They are
Yeah.
it for tag team wrestling for me. Um, but FTR and the Bucks had a killer match right here,
Mm.
and it is filled with like them hitting everything that they hit, and a ton of false finishes, as you said. But then a miracle occurs as wheelchair bound Stokely interferes, revealing that he can both stand, walk, and grab a young buck's leg.
You little
Um,
shit.
Total little shit. Although later Nick Jackson gets some revenge because he drills Stokely, who's just sitting back in his chair, with a massive suicide dive, and it
Yeah.
looked crazy. Like, I don't know what kind of courage it takes for a full grown man to dive through the middle rope head first and go straight to the ground, but a lot of the folks in AEW seem to have it. Um,
Yeah.
and They the Bucks try real hard and fight valiantly, but ultimately Nick gets caught with an avalanche shatter machine, and that ends the night for him with FTR retaining. But that is not all that this has to offer. In the post match, when FTR begins celebrating and the lights go out, on the big screen, the words appear, and at first it says even, and we're like, okay. And then it says avenge, and we're like, I don't think that's how you spell that. And then a big R that's boxed in the exact same kind of font as the Rated R Superstar logo appears at the front, and it spells out revenge.
Yeah.
And Adam Copeland's music begins to play and the crowd loses their mind. And out comes Cope, and FTR are watching him. They're looking at him. And then shortly after that, Christian Cage's countdown begins to play. But what FTR doesn't realize as they're staring at Copeland is that Christian Cage has snuck in from the back. And he immediately goes up to Cash Wheeler and hits him with some mace. And then turns around and drills Dax Harwood with a kill switch. And it looks okay. Dax Harwood didn't quite sell it right, but it's not on Cage. And then Cope enters the ring and absolutely annihilates the maced Wheeler with a spear, and that leaves only Stokely in the ring with the two of them. And Stokes first looking at Copeland, but then he turns his attention to Cage and he walks over. He's got his hand out like he wants to shake hands and make up. And he grabs Cage's hand and puts it into his own. And Cage is looking around like, this little bitch. And then he immediately drills Stokely with a kill switch, which Stokely sold better than Dax
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, he did.
Um, and then Cope and Cage proceed to make it clear that they are here for vengeance as well as those tag titles. And that's when the Young Bucks slide back into the ring, and there's a bit of a tense stare down between Cope and Cage and the Young Bucks. But Cope and Cage eventually lay FTR's titles down in the middle of the ring and celebrate, and everybody is just in awe. First of what that match was, and the fact that the Bucks didn't win, and they had just seen an amazing match. But then the surprise return of Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, and
Yeah.
we are off and running after the first match of Revolution. I tend to agree with you. They keep you on your toes because they sort of set the tone by starting out with the tail end of Zero Hour with the face Jack Perry getting the win over heel
Yeah.
Ricochet. They're like, psych, because this ultimately ends up being kind of a heels up pay per view. The heels are doing good in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
But not too long after that, and to keep the action rolling as they are wont to do, because they're trying to squeeze. Like, I don't know if you want to count that match from Zero Hour, 11 matches into this pay per view, if not 10, which is still a stacked card.
Yeah.
So we are immediately brought to match 2, which is the everyone barred from ringside match between Timeless Tony Storm, who goes on to defeat Marina Shafir. And what were your thoughts on this match?
Now, I'm gonna admit, just in case people don't know, I have been very, very critical of Marina in the past. Um, but I will admit she did a fantastic job in this match with Tony. Um, she didn't do anything that she can't do. And I think we even said that when we were watching this. We even made that comment. I think you did.
Yeah, I'm glad
Um,
she gave up on that Tiger Fang like 619 into a DDT that she could never hit.
yes. We didn't see that, thankfully. She stuck to what she knows, and she did very well. Um Now I'm gonna talk a little bit about what happens after the match, right? Um because we all know that Rousey shows up, and she's in the ring, and she is gesturing to Tony to get back in the ring. She wants to smoke with Tony. The audience is not happy about it. Now, I'm not going to talk about why they aren't fans of Rousey. I understand why people aren't fans of Ronda Rousey. I get it. Um I will say that I think that she's apologized for what everyone is really upset about, and if we aren't willing to just accept someone's what I felt was a sincere apology, after they've reflected on something that they've done or said, and then afterwards say, wow, that was real shitty, maybe I shouldn't have said or done that. If we're not willing to accept that, then I'm not really sure what forgiveness is, or why people even apologize, or what is even the point. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But with that being said, I wasn't very happy to see her, and not because of all that, but because she kind of took the attention away from Shafir, who didn't win her match, sure, but certainly won some spotlight for delivering a solid performance with one of AEW's best female competitors. I just think we could have spent a little bit more time there. Um, with that, maybe she could have, like, we didn't even get a chance to see the sucker punch that she gave to Tony because the cameras were just all focused on Ronda Rousey, and I'm not really sure why. If she was there as the distraction anyway, then could we not have looked at Tony? Did he at least get Tony's reaction to that? And then we get to see Shafir do her little sucker punch to Tony, because I feel the story should have still been about Shafir and Tony, not in addition to Ronda. So that was the only reason that I wasn't very happy to see her in that particular setting. She could have come at any other time. Just right after the match, I felt like it was. I know Shafir didn't win, and I know it was more like, Tony, but Tony was already leaving. In this case, I really feel like we should have just spent a little bit more time on the fact that Shafir was kind of bomb. She was kind of bomb for this match, So that was the only reason that I was not happy to see Rousey. What did you think of this match?
I was with you. It was a surprisingly good match. I didn't come
Yeah.
into this one with high hopes because
Yep.
until this match, largely we hadn't seen Shafir be able to go in a match without some kind of botch or flub
Yeah.
so I was like, squinty eye, but I'm
Eh,
always open to being proven wrong. Like
yeah.
make me your fan. I'm here for that. And in this case, I was pleasantly incorrect, as Shafir had perhaps probably her best single showing here with Tony Storm. Um,
Yeah.
they fought a really good match. Lots of good back and forth. Shafir, like you said, stuck to what she knew, which was like some nasty looking, vicious judo throws, like hip tosses and shoulder throws, with a whole lot of a kicking game. Like I feel bad for Tony Storm's chest by the end of this one. Um, and in the closing moments, Shafir kicked out of Storm Zero, which left Storm kind of going, what am I going to have to do? And Tony Storm ends up locked into the mother's milk after a missed headbutt. But the way she countered out of it was epic. She just bit the holy shit out of Marina Shafir's tit, and that was amazing. Then she's able to hit the headbutt and follows up with the big package roll up pin to pick up the win. And then when Tony was up at the top of the entrance ramp, swimming in the air as she is wont to do, celebrating, that's when a figure enters the ring, and it takes us a few seconds, including Tony Storm, to realize that it's Ronda freaking Rousey that's in an AEW ring. And so Tony Storm stands up and like I don't know what the walk she did was, but it was goofy and funny at the same time, and she marches to the ring and hops in there. But before anything can happen, security floods the ring and separates them into opposite corners. And that's when, as you said, Shafir lands a sucker punch on Tony while they're separated. But like, I don't think the
Allegedly.
camera caught that. Like, we ended up hearing about it by way of the announcers. Um,
Allegedly. I
but
don't know.
this
Fake
leaves,
news.
yeah, fake news. This leaves Tony laying while Shafir and Rousey kind of, meet up on the other side. And, I think Shafir put her arm around Rousey and they both leave. And so it looks simultaneously and surprisingly like Ronda Rousey is both all elite and potentially a Death Rider now. And if that's the case, man, the women's tag team division is just becoming crazy. Shafir and Rousey as a tag team, holy crap. The only thing that would make that even more dangerous is if somehow Shayna Baszler shows up in AEW, and now we've got a trio of deadly UFC fighting women that are affiliated
I
with the Death Riders.
I will not be happy until A, Ronda Rousey gets in that ring and shows me that she's actually there to wrestle and compete and to not be a little diva. And two, if oh my god, you just said her name, my brain went burp.
Shayna Baszler.
Yeah. Yeah, Shayna Baszler shows up. I won't be happy until Baszler shows up. If she shows up, then I'll be like, "Yay!"
Yeah,
And if Ronda gets in there and really does a fantastic job and not, not go don't pull a classic Rousey if you lose a match. You know what I mean? If you can
yeah.
actually go in there
I
and
mean,
compete.
yeah, unless you make that part of the kayfabe shtick for
Oh,
her.
yeah, if that's part of the kayfabe, then okay.
To offer my thoughts on some of what you were saying about Rousey, I try and separate as much as I can the politics
Yeah.
of certain wrestlers from or some of the goings on of certain wrestlers from their in-ring performances, or there's people I wouldn't be able to enjoy. I would not be able to give CM Punk any credit for his current run in WWE if I continued to hate Phil for his
Yeah.
history. I wouldn't be able to like Randy Orton because he was a right big asshole for the early part of his
Woah.
young career.
Man, he was
I wouldn't,
difficult.
so if I go that route, then I can't like Logan Paul, or I might have disagreements with Brody King, any of that stuff. So we're going to, I try to judge them by what they do when they're on the show and in that ring. And
Yeah.
so to that extent, it's still a fair unknown. We didn't see Ronda Rousey perform any moves. She just showed up. So I'm waiting to see, much like I'm still kind of on the fence about Lena Cross, I want to see more of her in ring.
Right,
You know, s-
exactly.
so that's where they need to impress me is how they perform on the show. And
Yeah.
if they do that, then, tabula rasa, make me a fan of what you do in that ring. Um, so that's where I'll leave that. It's still kind of a question mark because she only just showed up, but wow, it's kind of a crazy middle finger to WWE in a way because the last bit of news I had heard
For
about Ronda
real.
Rousey is
Yeah.
that she was talking about returning to WWE, and then she shows up at AEW Revolution.
Yeah.
So we shall see how this ends up playing out, which will probably be a refrain I'm singing about much of what happens here in Revolution. Uh,
Yeah.
we've got to wait and see how it's gonna turn out.
Yeah.
But
I wow. Yeah,
here
so
we
much
are
happened,
in
guys.
here we are
So much.
in match 2, and we've had the surprise return of Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, and now we've got Ronda Rousey showing up. So far, my wig is blown back, and we're only 2 matches in. And we also had a title change at the beginning of the night, depending on whether or not you count 0 Hour as part of the Revolution show. But wow, off to a electrifying start to the night. And again, we're only in match 2. We've got like 8 more coming.
Yeah.
And to that end, we have not seen the last of the Death Riders because we turn right around as Shafir and Rousey are exiting. Shafir meets John Moxley in the entrance to the arena and slaps him, and then I think Ronda Rousey slapped him once for good measure. And so John Moxley makes his way out for the AEW Continental Championship match with no time limit between him and the Alpha Konosuke Takeshita. And this was a absolute slobber knocker, but ultimately John Moxley is able to retain, and it was a heck of a match. What were your thoughts on this one?
Fantastic match. And then keep them coming. I know. This is like the 3rd or 4th. I don't give a shit. Keep them coming. I'm surprised, but not surprised by who won. Does that make any sense? Because I
Yeah,
feel like it could have gone either way. But I think for the storyline that they have, like there's an underlining storyline between Takeshita and Moxley, also one between Takeshita and the Don Callis family. And I think because of that, Takeshita had to lose this match. Not even necessarily, l- you know, lose it. Like he didn't have to lose it badly. Like he lost it, by the skin of his teeth. Like this was
yeah.
a
Yeah, this
very
was a nail biter. It could have gone either way.
right. Yeah. But I think for the storyline, they were always gonna give this one to Moxley, and I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I think it's so that Takeshita, um can do some face shit like shake Moxley's hand, after Moxley beat them cheeks into wrestling submission. So then he goes up there and he shakes his hand. The Don Callis family are probably gonna look at that and be like, "What the fuck? You wouldn't let us jump him? You're shaking his hand. So I think that's gonna put yet another rift between him and the Don Callis family. I think Okada's gonna ride that shit because Okada, well, for
Oh
reasons
yeah.
later in this particular show, I think Okada's going to be trying to get some attention off of him, some heat off of him. So I think he's going to do some shit to, like, oh guys, look, here comes Takeshita losing another match again, some shit like that. And I think that's going to instigate, or not instigate, but I think that's going to further stoke the fire between Takeshita and the Don Callis family. So his
Yeah.
loss here was for more storyline than anything else, and I'm okay with that. I also predict that if they do end up, they being the Don Callis family or any members within that group, if they decide to attack Takeshita, I really think that Moxley is going to make the save. I think he's going to come in and stop them from doing that. Um, those are my
Mayhap.
predictions.
Mayhap.
I see future things happening here between Moxley and Takeshita and the Don Callis family and the Death Riders. So for those reasons, even though it hurt my soul for Takeshi to get another loss, I think it was necessary. And it was a great fucking match.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What did you think?
Um, I have to agree. This was an absolute epic. Somehow, Moxley and Takeshita have been carrying a feud since the events of the Continental Classic. Man, that is just the gift that keeps on giving, isn't it? That Continental Classic is a beast.
Yeah, you're
Um,
welcome, it seems to say.
yes, seriously. And so Takeshita and Moxley having this real banger of a match with no interference, by the way, and they absolutely needed the no time limit stipulation because they went well past the 20-minute mark that is typical of the Continental Championship.
Yeah.
Um, but this was just an epic between them. I swear they threw every move they knew at each other, and it was a nail biter because at any given time, especially with some of the false finishes, it could have gone either to Moxley or to Takeshita.
Yeah.
But I think this match, more so than maybe any other match on the night, was trying to tell the most nuanced story,
Yeah.
right? Because we've got Moxley, who is part of the Death Riders, and the Death Riders are historically the heels, right? But
Yeah.
Moxley's been getting over with the fans and becoming more and more of a face. Simultaneously, Takeshita is part of the Don Callis family, who are absolutely the villains of AEW. They are the
Yeah.
heels always, but Takeshita is at odds with him, so he's kind of the face.
Yeah.
So in this one, I believe Takeshita comes in, as blurry as the lines are, Takeshita's the face and Moxley's the heel. And despite that fact, they really blur the lines on that dynamic with this one because at the end of the match, after a grueling battle, Moxley shows respect to Takeshita, and initially Takeshita, immediately following the match, is like, "Nah, fuck you, dude," and just turns and walks away from the offered hand, but then stops as he's leaving the ring, thinks about it for a minute, and then steps back in and takes Moxley's hand. And the crowd were like, "Oh shit, yeah, respect." And this keeps Takeshita more of a face, but it also puts Moxley over as a face. So then this is more nuanced than we often get in pro wrestling,
It's so
you
good.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really good for what it's trying to do, which is make both Moxley and Takeshita a face. This is tricky and they're pulling it off. And I'm really impressed by that level of storytelling in professional wrestling. Um but just to kind of give some details on how the match ended up finishing after they beat each other with everything they can. It seems to occur to Moxley that like Takeshita just has too much fighting spirit to be slammed into a pinfall. So he ultimately ends up getting Takeshita in a rear naked choke. And he locks that choke in good and proper. And Takeshita tries to fight. He tries real hard, but ultimately passes out. And I think that was a good way of having this match play out. Despite the fact that I normally don't like submission finishes, this was a good spot for one, and it made a
Yeah.
lot of sense because I don't think there was going to be a slam or a driver or anything that you could have done to Takeshita to get him to stay down. And
Yeah.
that's great storytelling in the ring.
Yeah.
Now, after they show respect to each other during the post match, a video appears on the big screen and it shows doctors treating a patient almost like they're rebuilding the Bionic Man. Like I'm sitting there thinking, we can rebuild him, we can make him better. And then Will Ospreay's music begins playing, and the crowd goes absolutely apeshit, as did we. Like I'm sitting there going, Ospreay, Ospreay. So, because I'm a huge fan of Will Ospreay, this
Oh
dude
my
is
god.
amazing. And he ends up rushing to the ring where John Moxley is waiting, and he just instantly lays Moxley flat out with a hidden blade. This, of course, provokes all the other male members of the Death Riders to jump into the ring, only to have Ospreay lay them out, and he delivers. And thank you for this. It was a signature joy. He delivers one of the most vicious looking hidden blades to Daniel Garcia that I've ever seen. Um, this sends the Death Riders scampering and running, but the message is quite clear. Will Ospreay is back. He has been rebuilt better, and he seeks vengeance against the Death Riders, who, in the kayfabe, are responsible for his neck injury.
Yeah.
And this was amazing. I mean, we're 3 matches in. We had a return of Christian Cage and Adam Copeland. We had Ronda Rousey make an appearance in an All Elite ring, and now we have Will Ospreay back on the scene. What the fuck? How? How? How?
Yeah.
What? 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 That was how I was feeling. This was blowing my mind. This was so much, and we're only 3 matches deep. 4 if you count the last match of 0 Hour.
Yeah. I was already
It
tired.
was a lot, Robin.
Like I was already laying back, holding my head like Lord. Insane.
Yeah. So I am at this juncture looking at this pay per view, just grinning ear to ear because I'm so thrilled by everything that my eyeballs have seen, and the returning Will Ospreay just makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Um, but they don't give you a chance to even catch your breath because the next thing we see is I want to say there's a little bit of footage from the match that happened on 0 Hour between Willow Nightingale and Colossal Lena Cross. And they go on to let us know that Willow, while she retained her TNT belt, she sustained a shoulder injury. And then I believe there's a little bit of backstage where Willow's getting taped up and Harley and her are talking, and Willow's like, I'm ready. Let's do this. And Harley's like side eye, and then that's where we get AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship match. The Divine Dominion, which is the new name for the Megasis Megan Bayne and Colossal Lena Cross, and it's so much better than fucking Megabad.
Yeah.
Um, they end up going against the Babes of Wrath in what I feel was one of the more telegraphed losses for the retaining champions. What were your thoughts on this match?
Yeah. I think this is the only match that they telegraphed the outcome of several times over for several days. Um, and I think it was very nice of AEW to soften the blow. I think they might have done that because there were a lot of uh little girls out there wearing like Willow t-shirts, so I
Yeah,
think I think
Willow's little girl fan base and all the baby Babes of Wrath needed some cushion.
yeah, so I think maybe they were getting them prepared for that. Which if that's honestly what was happening, that's very nice of them. But we knew long before this match took place that Babes of Wrath would be losing. I mean, they telegraphed this several days in advance. And just to make sure that we know, not only did they give Willow like several matches where she was just constantly defending one or both of the belts,
Oh,
um,
hard
they
work being
gave
a double champ.
Yeah, like yeah, they leaned heavily into that. And we've seen them do something well, we've seen wrestling in general use this as a storyline before where the champion is just overworked. But not only did they use that, they gave her a match that same night, like in 0 hour or dark or whatever it's called before the actual show. She had the match between Lena. Her name's Lena, right?
Yeah, Lena Cross
Yeah.
and her.
Yes. So she had a match there where her arm got fucked up just in case we needed more like cushioning, you know.
Yep.
Um.
And one other way they were telegraphing, we've already seen that there's a pattern of heels up, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, we just kind of knew that this would be the end of them holding belts for the time being, and I'm okay with that. All I needed from this match was Divine Dominion to deliver, and it's not even uh the Megasis. It's not her that I'm looking at here. It's Cross.
Yeah,
Um,
the unknown quantity still.
right. I still need to see more from her, and in this match, I don't. I feel like what I saw was protected by Megan, if that makes any sense. I feel like Megan once again did most of the heavy lifting here, and I'm not saying that Cross did badly. I just didn't see her do as much. Like I still haven't seen enough, and maybe that'll just come with time, but she still needs that match where we get to see what she can do. Like when Megan was on came on the scene, she came on the scene and obliterated everything. Um everything. The current champion, the runners up, it didn't matter. Everybody got it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I
Cross is
kind of
definitely yeah, yep.
yeah, so I kind of need to see something like that from her. And until I do, I'm gonna be, squinting my eyes here. But aside from that, it was a solid match nonetheless, with a very believable outcome because of how much cushioning they gave us beforehand. Like it, I saw the ending and like, oh, yeah, of course, of course, of course. Willow is run ragged. She just had a freaking match like a hour or two before this one. Like, yeah, this makes sense. So yeah, I thought it was great. Another good one with the storytelling. Now I'm just interested to see where they're going with the story. Does it stop now for the babes of Wrath? Is it stop for them for now? And does the story pick up with Divine Dominion? Is that what we're doing? If so, I mean, whatever the case, I'm interested and I'm here for it. I just really need to see more from Cross. I need to see more of what she can do. What did you think?
I feel very similar. Again, as you pointed out, and I won't harp on it too much. One of the more telegraphed matches, but
Yeah,
I think I agree. It was to soften the blow because, like, after the outcome of the match, like they showed little girls crying. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
so they clearly the Babes of Wrath are a huge favorite, and they wanted to cushion that a little bit, especially amongst the younger members of the audience. I absolutely agree that Cross needs to try and increase impact to match Megan Bain. Like she's got size, but Megan Bain like came in like a freaking wrecking ball,
yeah.
and proved her dominance really, really excessively. I think what I'd like to see out of Cross is some more slams. Like I love that giant side slam she did.
Yeah.
If she wanted to incorporate some form of a power bomb, I would be thrilled. Um, like, especially if she, like, just had, like, a jackknife power bomb that she did to people,
Yeah.
because like, some parts of her kit remind me very much of, like, a combination of Kevin Nash and Bill Goldberg,
Yeah.
and I don't necessarily need her to adopt a spear. Everybody and their damn brother does a
No
spear.
spears, please.
But, like, a jackknife power bomb or something would be great. Um Especially, I mean, I love Scott Hall too, but I feel like a lot of people have been emulating like the crucifix power bomb. So just
Yeah.
to like go take from Kevin Nash if you're going to like steal the jackknife power bomb, that big side slam. You already do Cross already does really great with like elbows in the corner. Maybe even do like a hip check in the corner. And then
I
you
know
can
hip
kind of
check.
call back, not like Tony Storm does, but like how Kevin Nash used to drive his hip,
Yeah,
and
all
knee
right,
into
okay.
opponents
Yeah.
in the corner. Um, I think that might really get it across, but I'd like to see more like just straight up slamming and spiking from someone as huge as Cross.
I'd like to
Because I
see some
mean,
choke slams.
we did. I will say I
More.
love that Divine Dominion's finisher was a double choke slam. That was
More choke
phenomenal,
slams. More
and
cowbell.
I absolutely loved the fact that it was Willow Nightingale who took the L here. So it's not like, oh, of course, Harley, the weak
Yeah.
link of,
No,
so
Harley actually pulled up.
she
Harley was
did.
actually, yeah,
She
she
did.
was
But
fighting.
I feel like they were protecting that in this instance. Like they don't want
Yeah.
Harley to be the reason.
Again,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yep, yep.
so really good match. I'm still waiting to see as much impact from Cross as we saw from Bane, like to match that energy. And then I think we are basically dealing with a nasty, nasty female version of either the Outsiders or the Brothers of Destruction, and I am here for that.
Yeah,
Like that's gross and in a good way. Like this will be a very dominant female tag team. But I'm with you. I still need to see just touch more out of Lena Cross and make her as impactful as her partner Megan.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, really good match. Really liked the finish. And heels up here in Revolution. I mean, that's now a recurring theme. The first match where Jack Perry won was a red herring. Surprise! Now all the bad guys win.
Yeah,
Almost all the bad guys win.
almost.
So continuing with the momentum. There was no surprise, new entrance, but this was a surprise title change. Um, but that brings us to our next match. The which man deserves to be called the most dangerous, and that is Swerve Strickland versus Brody King. And unshockingly, the answer to that question is Swerve Strickland. I mean, it has to be. It's his whole like his theme song is most dangerous. Like you
Yeah.
can't not make it Swerve. But that said, what were your thoughts on this match?
Well, as I have said in the past, I think we've both kind of said the same thing. I feel like you just said it. In fact, I feel like it made the most sense to have Swerve take the victory here. Um, and I'm not sure what they're gonna do with Brody, but when it comes to being the most dangerous man in AEW, in the way because in the way that Swerve means it, because I honestly don't think that Kenny Omega meant it the same way when he said it about Brody King. Um, I think he meant it in the match against MJF, like all the guys that were going up against MJF at the time, the most dangerous one was Brody. I think that's what he meant. I don't think he meant most dangerous like in AEW the way Swerve means it, which is Swerve will do absolutely anything. Anything. If he can pull it off, he's going to do it to get the victory. And you can be a friend, you can be a foe, it does not matter. He is a problem for you if it's Swerve Strickland versus your name here, right? And
Yep.
that's not the same as Brody. Brody didn't even have that vibe. I'm not saying that Brody ain't hardcore. Brody is. Brody's hardcore. Um, he's quite metal. I'm not, like he is. But if we're talking about the most dangerous man, the man who will stick a needle in another man's face, the guy who will take bumps on cinder blocks and give them, that guy is Swerve. It's not Brody. So it made more sense in my head and like you said, his song is even most dangerous. Like he leaned completely into this. He's leaned all the way in. Um, and when I think about some crazy shit done in the ring, one of the first guys I think of is Swerve. So
Yeah,
it just made sense for him to take the victory. But it was on Brody to not make it easy for him. And I think Brody did just that. So this is a really good match. Um, and I don't think it buried Brody. I was concerned about that. I don't think it did. Uh, I don't know where I don't know where it goes for Brody after this, but I don't think that he was buried here in this match. I think he looked pretty freaking good, and I'd be open to seeing him in other big name matches. Like let's get him out the mid card and give him some crazy shit. Give him some more crazy matches with some superstars like Swerve, Hangman. Like I'm down with that. I think he can do it.
yeah,
What
I
do you think?
agree. Um, I agree with much of your assessment about the psychology and the storytelling of the match. I do think this is them actually, like, instead of burying Brody, this is them pulling him up higher in the mid
Yeah.
card. Sorry,
Yep.
from what would be AEW doesn't really have
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
terribly huge mid card. Everybody just really kicks ass in the ring, but
Yeah.
this is pulling Brody up to the top nonetheless. And what I will talk about more is kind of certain events that took place in the match. Like right from the beginning, both Brody King and Swerve start trying to rip the protective padding up uh, outside the ring between it and the entrance ramp. And so it sort of like foreshadows that somebody is going to get it on like the unprotected concrete. It's just a matter of who and when. And it turns out that later in the match, they're both out there, and it looks like Brody is about to drill Swerve with a Gonzo bomb, and I'm like, that'd be it. That would be it. That would be the
Yeah.
end of the match. But Swerve wiggles out of it, throws Brody into the barricade, and then proceeds to hit Brody King, like a really tall, really heavy guy. He proceeds to pick up Brody King in a vertebraker and
Yeah.
vertebrates him on that. And I'm like, that's it. Brody is dead. And I mean, Swerve gets back into the ring and is like, well, count him out because he ain't coming back. Much to our surprise, because woof, Brody King does end up making it in before the end of the count. But at this point, he's pretty fucked up. And so the minute he comes back into the ring, he gets, he rolls into the ring with Swerve already on the top rope, who hits the Swerve stomp, but in a like adrenaline fueled like haze, he kicks out at like one. And I'm like, oh my God, these guys are going to go until someone's dead. But King, even though he, bounced back up on his feet, he's not moving so quick because that vertebraker did mess him up. And so Swerve starts leveraging speed. He's running back and forth, hitting him with like running drop kicks. And Brody finally tries to hit him with a lariat, but he misses and ends up on his knees. And this allows Swerve to run at him from the back and hit him with a house call. And that ultimately secures Swerve the pinfall. But man, Brody made him work for it.
Yeah.
Um, but that's not enough. That is not enough because then Prince Nana pulls out a cinder block from under the ring and pushes it into the ring, and it looks like Swerve is going to curb stomp Brody King out of existence. Like, this is how somebody is a fatality in the ring. But before that can happen, Kenny Omega's music starts to play, and Kenny comes rushing to the ring to make the save. Kenny Omega, who was obliterated by Swerve Strickland just a couple weeks ago with a vertebraker through the announce table, is back. And so this match concludes with Swerve and Nana leaving while Omega and Brody, Omega is helping Brody to his feet, and they end up standing in the ring.
Yeah.
And another big return. Here's Kenny Omega. So, woof, like hell of a match. Really crazy shit took place. I would like to make a special mention of the fact that Brody King is billed at 280. I'm willing to bet that he's right in like either that or pushing 300. So he's a big and tall dude. So he's tough to pick up. That
Yeah.
said, Swerve Strickland lifted him so easily a couple of times. Swerve on the outside picks him up and puts him on his shoulder and lawn darted him into the turnbuckle post. And I'm like,
Yeah.
who the hell picks up Brody King and lawn darts him? Like, Swerve is unbelievably strong. Like, make no
Yeah.
mistake, Swerve has put on that extra mass up top and on his arms, and it's showing. Like, he also picked up Big Brody King for a vertebraker, for fuck's sake. So, Swerve is goddamn strong and hella dangerous. So I
Yeah.
was really impressed with this match. Brody hung in there and was given as good as he got until that vertebraker. That vertebraker was kind of the deciding moment because King was just never able to quite get back into the match until it was over after that point. But he put up one hell of a fucking fight, like really strong. I don't think Brody got buried even a little bit here. And now he's standing next to Kenny Omega. Like I feel like this is absolutely and definitively pulling Brody up.
Yeah.
So impressive match, really brutal. Kind of one for the sickos if you are into like real. I mean, a vertebraker on concrete. And I mean, Swerve didn't do it soft either. It wasn't like, oh,
No.
that was a very protected looking vertebraker. Like he took a couple of running steps and just dropped Brody. Like it was brutal. Like so sick
Oh,
looking.
my. Yeah.
So,
You ain't wrong.
really, really good match. Woof. And another big surprise return. Like Revolution is decidedly trying to make the people watching like asphyxiate because they don't get a chance to catch their breath between some huge spot or shock return. Like you're gonna have to pause it and like breathe into a bag or otherwise hyperventilate. Um But that leads us into another huge match. This is match 6 of this pay-per-view. That is the AEW Women's World Championship match, a 2 out of 3 falls match between the defending champion, the Toxic Spider, Tekla, and Chris Statlander. Um, and it's ultimately Tekla who is able to retain. But to see how she did, what were your thoughts on this match?
Um, so the match itself, not bad, but not as extreme as I assumed it would be. And I only say that because the only thing that I have to compare it to is the night before where Statlander comes into the ring to get freely whipped by Tekla until all she could do was crawl to a microphone and suggest to Tekla that she'd have to do a whole hell of a lot more to keep her down come Sunday night. Turns out, a spear or two with a side of 2 or 3 stumps, and we're calling that steady pie done. That was it.
The done statty pie.
The done ding, steady pie done. Um, yeah. So I mean, I listen. I'm not saying that it was a boring match. It was better than I thought it was gonna be, but all of the leeway, like Statlander, I love her in the ring, but she makes some weird promos sometimes, and coming out just to get whipped, um, that was weird.
That was very masochistic, and I said several times during that promo, "Not the flex you think it is, stat."
Yeah, that was kind of strange. Um, and I'm not really sure what to make of it. Right along with that, like I just yeah, I don't know what to make of it. But the match itself was just fine. It was just awkward. It was an awkward path to get there.
The build-up, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is some awkward stuff. Tekla's already just strange as fuck. It works for her. It works for her character. She rides that dragon of insanity all the way through the night. So it works for her. But that the whole leeway, the whole story up into this match was just kind of weird, that the whole not talking, wearing shades, the whole, I'm only going to speak when I need to promo, like all of it was very strange. All of it was very strange. Um and yeah, I, but the match itself, great. It was great. But I just not as crazy as I thought it was going to be. Like I thought we were going to have a little bit more insane shit, like when Statlander had her match with Willow, the street fight, or something along those lines. And we didn't really get that. Again, did not hate the match. I just kind of thought that we were gonna get a little crazier, uh, because everything else was insane. I thought I
Yeah.
thought the match would follow suit, and it kind of didn't. It was a little, eh. What'd you think?
I agree with you that the buildup, especially Statlander's last promo, was weird.
Yeah.
And the match itself was very good, but I feel like 2 out of 3 falls is cool. Um, but I thought what they were gonna do is show us that Tekla can get it done without needing, because I thought they were trying
Oh
to erase
yeah,
the
yeah,
asterisk that was her win the first time, where,
yeah,
she needed the other members of the Triangle of Madness, the Sisters of Sin, to make it
yeah.
happen for her. And I continued to think that way through the first pinfall, where she outmaneuvered Statlander and hit a bridging pin and held the ropes, but the ref didn't see. So I'm like, okay, you outmaneuvered her, so she gets the first pinfall relatively quickly. The other thing I thought, just as a sidebar to what you were just saying, is that I was hoping for a more crazy match, but this was just a 2 out of 3 falls normal match. Like, they
Yeah.
weren't able to do extreme things unless the
Mhm.
ref was not looking or down. And so I think that kind of held it in a little more than what we thought, like, especially with
Yeah.
Stat being like, "What you have to do to me to keep me down," after whipping her with a leather belt. I'm like, "Okay." Um, but yeah, this being a standard match, albeit 2 out of 3 falls, kinda kept it restrained to just the in-ring work. And, I mean, that's not bad, but it kind of went contrary to the expectation that Statlander had set the night before, you know what I
Yes.
mean?
Exactly.
Um, so the second fall was just straightforwardly Statlander getting Saturday Night Fever off on Tekla and Tekla getting pinned. And then we come to the third fall, they're tied 1 and 1, so this will decide it. And it's during this time that the final fall was a bit more contentious, because I want to say Tekla pushes Statlander into referee Paul Turner, and Paul Turner's dead, right? As referees are. Like, you could bump
Yeah.
their like little pinky toe and they'd be like, ah, burnt, and they're dead.
Yeah.
Um, so during this time, Tekla grabs the referee's leather belt because he's dead, right? He's not going to need it, and starts to try to whip Statlander, but Stat takes it from her and whips Tekla instead and hits the Saturday Night Fever one more time. And this time, there's no ref to count, but the crowd is like counting to a billion. Um, and
I
at this
hate when
point,
they do that.
I wanna say, well, I mean, it just shows that Stat had the win if the ref hadn't been down. So I'm like, okay, so
Yeah.
clearly they're not trying to say that Tekla's win doesn't deserve an asterisk. So Sky and Julia come down and attempt to attack Statlander, but she levels both of them. Then she goes for the leather belt to try and whip Tekla some more, but at this point, the referee has recovered and stops her from doing that. This unfortunately distracts Statlander, who, gets speared by Tekla, followed up by 2 back-to-back curb stomps, and this leads to the third and final pinfall for Tekla to retain. Um, so yeah, kind of a weird build-up that suggested it would be a more extreme match, and also did not wipe the asterisk away from Tekla's victory the first time. So I'm kind of left wondering, okay, what was this trying to do? I mean, the match that they had was fantastic. I'm a little confused by the build-up and the storytelling, so I'm with you on
Yeah.
that. But otherwise, an excellent match.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't need much of a storyline for to get two people in there to fight. You know, I just I'm just going by the storyline that they gave me, and I'm like, what were we doing? I don't understand what's happening. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't feel like this settled anything between these two because
No.
once again,
Mm-mm.
with the false pin or the pin that Stat had that wasn't counted by the referee, and the use of the leather belt behind the ref's back and the Sisters of Sin, we clearly have this still unresolved between the two of them. Like we technically saw again here that had there not been any interference, Statlander would have won. So is their next match gonna be, like, in a steel cage or something where no one else can mess with them? So, clearly, there is this resolved nothing between these 2 women, and so we're going to have to run it back, and I'm here for that, that's gonna be good. I was just a little confused by the buildup and that it didn't do what I thought they were trying to do.
Yeah.
But, following that match, we are immediately taken to and this is again heels up, and no surprise title change or anybody coming back who was gone and surprising. So this is the first time we're at match well, that was match 6, and there was neither a surprising title change or a mystery new, all elite member or anything. Well,
Yeah.
the next match obviously sought to correct that, and that is the AEW World Trios match between the Jet Kevin Knight, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Mystico. And they are having their rematch against the Don Callis families, and this is a stacked like trio to go against. This is the Rainmaker, the international champion, Kazuchika Okada, the TNT champion, the Protostar Kyle Fletcher, and Mean Mark Davis. And they have been pushing Davis to the moon as like this unstoppable force of a human being. And so you couple that with the credentials of the Rainmaker and the international championship and Kyle Fletcher being like the guy, the TNT champion. And I'm like, man, like there's no way that they can lose here, right?
Yeah.
Right? Wrong. As it would happen, the Jet Kevin Knight, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Mystico, who I will, for the sake of my sanity and not saying all three of their names like that, I'm going to call them the Mystic Jet Speed or Mystic Speedball. Um, they end up winning.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we find out that Mystico is now all elite. So this match was like, well, we got you. Here's your surprise title change and a new member of the roster. That all said, what were your thoughts on this match?
Well, for my sanity, I'm going to call them Jet Set Mexico.
Jet
Um,
Set Mexico, that's
uh,
awesome. Yeah, that's better.
yeah. Uh, and I was absolutely shocked that they won the belts. Now, I'll talk a little bit more about that once we discuss the main event. But at this particular juncture, I was very shocked. Um, that they won the belts again. Because I mean this was basically the first title defense uh between guys like like you said, the Rainmaker, the Protostar, Mark Davis. Like these are
No.
not like chumps here. Like that's three of the scariest dudes in the Don Callis family right there.
Yeah, that's three of the
Four.
scariest dudes in All Elite Wrestling.
4 if you count Mark Davis's other thigh. Like, so we're talking about
Mark Davis and the Dunkzilla. Oh my god.
if we're adding all of Mark Davis, then that's 4 of the most frightening dudes in AEW right now. So like that's just crazy town. Um you just
I can't.
Um,
Mark Davis's other thigh.
that's a big dude. That's
He
it's.
is a big
That's
dude.
all I'm trying to say. It's a big one. That's a big one. That third is a big one. Um, yeah, like the first title defense. So holy schmoly. Also, considering that this has been a very heels up night, I did not expect for Jet Set Mexico to come out with the victory, man. Like it was just all great things. Um, but yeah, that was a really great match. Um, I mean, fantastic, and Mystico looked amazing. And he like okay, so as much as I love Jet Set Rodeo, and as much as I love me some Hangman, I feel like Mystico is a better addition
Mhm.
to the Jet Set. What are they called? What were they called?
Jet
Was
Speed
it
is
just
what they're
Jet
called, but
Speed?
I mean, I'm
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going with Jet Set Mexico. That is phenomenal.
Well, I mean, just just Kevin and Mike. Uh, they're called
Jet Speed.
Jet Speed. Yeah. So I think that Mystico is a great addition to Jet Speed to make them Jet Set Mexico. Um, I think he's a better addition to the group than Hangman is. Um, Completely different wrestling style. I think Hangman had a wrestling style closer to Kevin Knight, but I mean that's reaching. So I think Mystico, Kevin, and Mike there, that makes one hell of a team there, and I they can keep that going. I'd love to see them do some more. Um, yeah, but that was just still crazy town that they won the belts back. I honestly did not. Again, AEW got me, man. I did not expect for that to be the ending result. Not at all. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, I really wasn't sure what to expect going into this, because it's been a heels night, right? But Don Callis family just got the belts, and as I pointed out, like these are like top members of the Don Callis family. These are
Yes.
guys that no one in AEW should want to have to face. Like it's going to
Yeah.
be a rough night for you. Um, so I was very surprised when Mystic Jet Speed or Jet Set Mexico picked up the win. Um, and it's like I felt like AEW was like, "Oh, you think 7 matches in, we've popped out all of our surprises, huh? Well, here you go. Not only are we defying that it's an all heels night, but here's a surprise title change and a new member of the roster. Take that." And I'm like, "Okay, AEW, my bad. My bad for doubting you." And then
Yeah.
I liked that specifically Kevin Knight was the one who got the pinfall with a massive UFO splash. As sort of redemption for being the one who got pinned when they lost.
Yeah.
Um, this was a surprising championship change. It was an epic match. Like, how could it not be with these, 6 men?
Yeah.
Mystico is one hell of a luchador. He's very good. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. Whereas I feel like having Hangman sort of rounded out the styles because Mike Bailey is like a striker in high flyer. Kevin Knight is straight up a high flyer. And on the opposite end of that, you have kind of in Hangman, you got a guy who can do a little bit of everything, but he's largely a powerhouse.
Yeah.
So this just kind of doubles down on the high flying aspect of uh Jet Set Mexico. Like it's more complimentary instead of rounding it out.
Yeah.
And I think I agree with you. This can work because I mean you can get all 3 of them into those big high flying spots. They can leverage the speed that they all have. And I'm not saying these are things that Hangman can't do, but these are things that like he doesn't leverage them as often as these 3 do. I believe
Yeah.
Hangman could wrestle any style if you gave him the opportunity, but I definitely see Mystico being more of a complementary fit in terms of the styles that Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight bring to the table. This is now like an all high flyer team.
Yeah.
But yeah, really surprising. I was blown away by how good of a match they gave us too. Like you just can't not have a good match. Like Mark Davis got to show his power, continuously picking like he picked up. I want to say he hit that like crazy gut wrench pile driver on two different members. I'm just trying to. I know one of them was Kevin Knight. I'm trying to remember if the other was Mystico or Mike Bailey, but those were nasty looking. You got the best out of the Rainmaker. You got the best out of Kyle Fletcher. The running, like Kyle Fletcher's running kicks in the corner are absolutely disgusting looking. Like he
Yeah.
takes your head off with them. And there was a bit of a contest between Okada and Kevin Knight for who's got the better drop kick. I'm still not entirely sure who it is. It might still be Okada, but it was close. It's good. And so these men really brought it. It gave us an excellent match with a totally shocking ending, one with the title change and then the announcement that Mystico, who was previously with CMLL, is now All Elite. Wow.
Yeah.
Really good, especially for that much like what's even happening this late in a pay-per-view, a long one. This is match 7 out of like 10. So AEW is still keeping the surprises coming to keep you on your toes. I'm here for it. Really good match.
Yeah.
And as if to whet our appetites with high flying and luchadors, the next match that leads into is Andrade El Idolo versus the Ring of Honor World Champion Bandito. And clearly Bandito is a crowd favorite. He has been ever since Brodito.
Yeah.
And I expected a tremendous match here. But with heels being up and Andrade being on a push, I was not entirely surprised that he picks up the victory here. What were your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, I actually was a little surprised. I know this was a heels up night, but I was still a tad bit surprised that he took the victory. Also, while I thought this was a good match, and I did, I thought this was a really good match. I'm not sure that I think it was better than the match Andrade had against Dorada the night before. Like
Yeah,
I feel
Dorada
like
had a really good match.
yeah, I feel like that match was way way better. Um so I think I don't know. I mean, again, I don't think this was a bad match. It wasn't. But do I think that it was on the same level as the one that he had the night before? Not really. Not really. I think that match was a little bit better. And I also while this was a good match, I kind of feel like this is one that could have happened on a Dynamite or a Collision too. Um, but again, it was a good match. Yeah, I don't have anything negative to say about it. But with this type of stuff, with the type of stuff that happened on this episode, or I'm sorry, on this pay per view, this match was just kind of like um good. It was good, but it was I feel like it could have I feel like it could have been on a Dynamite. And that God, I'm saying it like that's an insult when I don't think it is. Um I feel like I feel like this is just one of those matches that could have been done on a Dynamite, really. And I don't know what I mean by that. Like I don't mean cuz I don't mean that as an insult, like I said.
I could
Um
see that. I could see that because this match didn't have like a surprising title change. There wasn't even a title on the line.
right.
And this match didn't have like, oh, and here's a shocking return. So this was just the most straightforward of matches. Like this was a match that was just between Andrade and Bandito for the sake of.
Yeah.
So I think I see that. That might be what you're getting at because they put on a phenomenal match. I agree with you. I'm not entirely sure this is better
Yeah.
than
The match between him and
the match between him
Dorado.
and Dorado.
Right.
But I don't think it was bad either. I think it just wasn't as like mind blowing as everything else. This was actually a really good match. But I'll get into that when you've concluded your thoughts. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, no, I'm totally done. What continue with what you thought.
Well, I thought this was a really solid match between these two. I think Andrade shines when he's in the ring with other luchadors. And that, cuz he's very much like a powerhouse luchador combo, but
Yeah.
so is Bandito. And because Andrade has a background with so much lucha libre, I think he's really able to pop with another luchador in the ring across from him.
Yeah.
And Bandito brought everything here. I was particularly impressed at one point in the match where Bandito hits a deadlift 21 plex to Andrade, who was laying face down near the ropes. Usually, the 21 plex is dealt to an opponent who is kind of hanging off the middle rope. But this time, Andrade was just laying flat prone, and Bandito went for it anyway and pulled it off.
Yeah.
But ultimately, after several different false finishes between the two, Andrade manages to land an avalanche DM on Bandito to pick up the win. And I don't think there was, I'm with you, I don't think there was anything negative to really say about this match. It just wasn't as shocking or mind blowing. It was just straightforwardly a good match between these two.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe that's why you feel like you could say this could have just happened on Dynamite, because this was probably the match where like little there wasn't like a big surprise or anything,
Yeah.
so it maybe deflated you a little bit for what was otherwise a fantastic match between these two. That, and I agree with your assessment, like his match against El Dorado, um or Dorada, sorry, was really, really good on like Collision the night before. So no downside really. It just wasn't as over the top as some of the other stuff we'd seen this pay per view.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a really good way of putting it.
And that leads us into our ninth match of the night. Another big trios match. This is Roderick Strong, Orange Cassidy, and Darby Allin. They found Roderick Strong. They don't need the milk carton anymore.
Yeah. I
Um,
found.
and they're going against the Dogs, which is Gabe Kidd, Clark Connors, and David Finley. And ultimately, I guess Roderick Strong made the difference, equalizing the numbers. Ultimately, Strong, Cassidy, and Allen are able to get the win against the Dogs. What were your thoughts on this match?
Um. Okay. So as much as I love me some Roderick Strong, and you already know I'm on Team Strong. Uh, I have been for quite some time, and as much as I think Orange Cassidy is entertaining, and Darby is ridiculously insane. I honestly feel like this match. mm, I feel like it should have been uh what are they called again? Um,
The Dogs or
yeah, I feel like it should have been the Dogs.
that won?
Um, yeah, I feel like they should have. Feel like they should have taken the victory here. Because and I know. So I feel like the structure or how we got here was a little backwards. They spent a lot of time before this match trying to show us that the Dogs were dominant. They spent a lot of time trying to show each one of them uh and what they could do. Like they spent a lot of time showing us them destroying everybody that comes in the ring with them, only to lose when it was time for them to not, you know? So I don't know. I kind of feel like I kind of feel like they should have taken the victory here. Um and I feel like they could have done a little bit more up like up into this match, like before we got to this match, they could have done a little bit more of making it a bit more even. Um so that Darby and Orange get, like, I know, get the victory. And I think what they ended up doing instead is showing us that Darby and Orange were good, but because the dogs had a third member added, them trying to get the advantage just would be impossible. So they needed to have that third man, and that's how they're going to get the victory now. I think that's the story they were going for instead. And if that's the case, I don't think they should have spent as much time um showing us how dominant the dogs are. I just I Because I mean, if you're gonna do that, and especially on a pay-per-view that is the heels up, then this was more than ever the time for the dogs to come out on top, and that, I think, would have solidified their dominance, or their appearance of being dominant in the uh in the promotion. And then, you know, they could be talking about how awesome they are, and then all of a sudden we hurt people kicks on, you know? That would be amazing. But I think I feel like they kinda slightly dropped the ball in having them lose this match. And you guys know that I'm not a fan of the dogs. I think they are goofy as shit. And that does not change in watching their entrance up to the up to the ring for this match. They're still goofy or cheesy as all get out, but they get it done in the ring, which is why I think they should have completed their their transformation into a really badass trios match, but or a team. But they didn't do that. They gave it to Darby and Orange and Roderick, and and they didn't kill Darby. But I kind of feel like they should have given him, or given the victory to the dogs. What did you think?
I can see your perspective, but I have a slightly different one.
Please.
I think one, this was a crazy match with Strong
Mhm.
rounding out the team of Cassidy and Allen quite nicely. I believe that the match was decidedly going in favor of the dogs, especially when they were able to tie Darby Allin to the corner of the tag rope.
Yeah.
That led to a very enjoyable crowd chant of "Please help Darby" after he had been there for a while. But the in watching how it was playing out, it was decidedly looking that even relatively even, 3-on-3, the dogs were dominating until they were able to get Darby freed, and Darby was able to lure Gabe Kidd all the way up the entrance ramp, where Darby then zip tied Gabe Kidd to the entrance ramp, making it a 3-on-2 situation.
Yeah.
Because I think it was the dogs' match to win prior to that, because Finlay and Connors and Gabe were all doing pretty good, especially
Mhm.
Connors and Finlay. Um, so I think they sort of told a story that, like, once you took Gabe Kidd out of the picture, then they were able to get it. And ultimately they're able to lay out Connors with a combination of moves, from like a running knee from Strong, followed by an orange punch, then the end of Heartache from Strong again. And Gabe was forced to watch it all. Like, he's strapped to the entrance ramp and he's so angry about it. And then so I don't think this did a disservice to the dogs, because they absolutely looked like they were destroying until they were down a man. Um, that said, I also think that the reason that this match, the ninth match the night prior to the main event, and with it being a heels night all night, they wanted to like make it a little bit shocking. Like, oh no, wait, the faces won. Now you're not so sure whose night it's going to be going into the main event.
Uh, please, let's just.
So that's my perspective on why they did what they did and the way that
Yeah.
they did it. Like, by taking Gabe Kidd out of the picture, it really did give the chance that was needed, because the dogs were kicking their ass prior to that. They really were.
All right.
Um, So that's how
Yeah,
I saw it, and this was a very good match. Um, I'm pretty sure this is one that they're going to be running back, but at the same time,
I'm
they're also
sure.
building out the trios roster for people that can challenge for that trios championship. And as you mentioned, at some point, I fully expect to hear "We Hurt People" start playing, and
Yeah.
then the trios division is absolutely stacked. So I'm looking ahead and I see good things. As far as how goofy the dogs are, they are, but I think like the king of the goofiness of them is largely just from Gabe Kidd. Like
Yeah.
Clark Connors talking on the mic is a little silly just in and of itself. And Dave Finley seems to be the more reserved of the three.
Yeah.
But I think it's Gabe Kidd who's largely carrying the "I'm weird as shit" torch for the whole trio. Um, I absolutely loved that on the way out after picking up the victory, Darby Allin taunted Gabe Kidd, and Gabe Kidd is just screaming at him, going, "I'm gonna kill you!" And like he's just stuck there, and everybody walks past him. It was so funny. I liked that part a lot.
Yeah, I was amused.
Yeah. So solid match. I look forward to seeing more from the trio of Roderick Strong, Orange Cassidy, and Darby Allin, and I definitely look forward to seeing more from the dogs in the ring. Um, but that brings us to our main event, the AEW
Uh,
World Championship Texas Death Match between the champion Maxwell Jacob Friedman and Hangman Adam Page. And there's one hell of a stipulation. In order to get this to be a Texas death match, Hangman Adam Page agreed that if he does not win here, he will never again challenge for the AEW World Title while he is alive. And I don't know how they're gonna make that one work because unfortunately Hangman did not win here. What were your thoughts on this match?
um, Jesus, this was a violent match, but it was so good. Um, I normally don't like okay, listen guys, all right? So like I am team healed most of the time. Slytherin all the way for the Empire, if you will. You guys get the drift. Um, but uh but I was rooting the entirety of my face off my face off for Hangman. Like
Yeah.
just
Yep.
yeah. Um But I we knew, we felt the disturbance in the force. We knew that he was gonna lose this match. We freaking knew it, but I don't know what the hell that means. But aside from that, this match was freaking ridiculous. I normally shy away, like I was about to say, I shy away from looking at a lot of the violent stuff, even though I'm all team heel. Sometimes I get squirmy and I'm like, "Ugh!" and I don't want to look at it. Uh, but this time I was totally locked in. I was locked in. I saw it all. I saw it all. And it was horrible, but also amazing. I could not look away. It was fucking insane. Um, Hangman needs therapy. He needs a hug. He needs like call your mom, Hangman. And stop it for like a second. Go sit down. Uh yeah. And it same thing with MJF. Like yes, he's a little prick, but he needs himself some cookies, some milk, um something like a comfortable sweater, fireplace. Both of them just need to sit down and chill. Just chill. Chill. This fucking match was insane, man. It was crazy. It was it was crazy. And Hangman is quite possibly one of the best um face actors. Like he he gets across his emotions so well. much better than I would expect any wrestler to do uh in a freaking match. Like we're watching two guys fake beat the shit out of each other, and yet he somehow puts just so much like believability, so much realism into what he is trying to express. Like take for example, when he comes back after Swerve
MJF?
basically.
Oh, Swerve.
No, I'm talking about Hangman. When he comes back after him and Swerve have this bout, and Swerve comes into his house, you know, and Hangman goes heel, like just insane heel. The
Yeah,
the the moment he does, the crazed look on his face,
the
and like he
crazy
gets,
eyes.
yeah, he just starts screaming like this primal psychotic scream, and like you're looking at his face, and you don't know, like he looks concerned, but then he looks like absolutely enraged. Like there's like a whole like plethora of emotions on his face, and then he's just, and you're like, whoa, whoa. He's fantastic at that. Um, and MJF is no slouch either. Both of these men are better at what they do than they should, like than they need be. They're fucking phenomenal. So this match was was crazy. So many times in this match, I was just hugging myself several times. I was hugging myself and just like, "Ugh, oh, I couldn't. It was rough, but so good. Um, and my God, I don't know what they're gonna do with the Hangman. He's freaking 34. What do you what do you mean he can't challenge for the biggest freaking prize in AEW anymore? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Aside from that, aside from that, Cheese, Louise, Papa Cheese. This was a fantastic fucking main event. Oh my God, what a the whole freaking thing, the whole kid and caboodle. But God dang it, this main event was just chef's kiss. What did you think before I freaking lose my brain all over again?
One, I agree with everything you have said thus far. And Hangman is an incredible face worker.
Oh my
I
God.
don't mean like heel and face. I mean like his ability to act just purely through his expression.
Yes.
He can make you feel anything, including like psychotically murderous when he's got his Manson lamps on. Um, that's the big crazy eyes for those that don't know. Um, but this had everything. There was elements of comedy, there was so much brutality and just all the intensity. Whether it was MJF, you know, bringing a I'm sorry, whether it was Hangman bringing a staple gun into the ring with a
Oh
happy
God.
birthday card because it was actually MJF's 30th birthday on the night.
Happy
So he
birthday, dumbass.
staples a happy birthday card to MJF's chest with a staple gun. Or him going and getting a window pane and bringing it into the ring only for MJF to stop him, and then MJF thinking, I'm not going through this window pane, so he shatters it in the middle of the ring. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, that's not a better idea. And then Hangman and him take turns slamming, and then dragging
Oh
one another over
my
the glass.
Lord, God in all of heaven and
There,
on the
yeah,
earth, just
and then
everywhere.
there was a point where MJF goes out of the ring and gets a giant broom and sweeps all the glass out of the damn ring because he's done with that indie bullshit.
Oh my
And then he proceeds to try to hit, Hangman with it, and Hangman snaps it in like to three pieces. I mean, this was crazy. This was crazy. There was a part where they fought their way out of the ring and then back into the ring, and they were talking about how MJF is wearing a costume, or his outfit is reminiscent of I just blanked on him. Chainsaw Charlie.
Yeah.
Uh Terry Funk. There it is. There it is.
Yeah, mine
It's
yeah.
reminiscent of Terry Funk, and it that particular spot was nice because it's like, well, do people in the audience, pick up what he's putting down? And clearly one of them did, because Hangman throws him back over the barricade back towards the ring, and we can hear a fan chanting, "You ain't Terry Funk." So it wasn't lost on them.
Yeah.
And then we have like several table spots. Jesus, I feel like both MJF and Hangman's knees are going to need replaced very
Oh
soon,
god, yeah.
because
Freaking
Hangman at one point does the dead eye pile driver, where he falls to his knees with his opponent kind of head down behind him through a table. And I'm like, man, Hangman's knees, like, it's distracting. Like, instead of me
barbed
thinking, oh
wire.
my God, you know, MJF's head just went through there, I'm thinking, Hangman's knees are broken.
Yeah, because if you remember, barbed wire. It was a barbed wire piece of
Well,
wood on top of the table.
yes, yes, but that wasn't the only barbed wire where a Deadeye was involved, because at one point in the
Oh,
match, MJF or Hangman, one of the two of them goes and gets a barbed wire wrapped steel chair, because a regular steel chair is for bitches.
no, no,
Um,
not gonna work.
and then, that steel chair not only gets used on people's backs, MJF's especially, but there's a point where Hangman gets Alabama slammed onto the back of it. And I think MJF tries to revisit that, but Hangman gets him in a dead eye and drops him onto the chair. And I swear, again, I'm sitting there thinking Hangman's knees, because he comes up clutching his knee because he just drove it into a barbed wire wrapped chair. And then
Yeah.
MJF, not to be entirely outdone in this, like, let's shatter our knees endeavor, tombstone pile drove Hangman through a table on the other side of the ring. And at another point in the match, they both end up with light tubes, those fluorescent light tubes that are often used in indies.
Yeah.
And they go all the way up to the top of the entrance ramp, because MJF like wants nothing to do with this situation. And MJF tries to hit Hangman, but Hangman then like clobbers him and just puts the light tube across MJF's back, and you can clearly see the mark. Like, you can see where the cut and the bruise are all the way across MJF's back. But then MJF is now kneeling because his back has been obliterated. And so he's holding his own light tube, and Hangman just takes it from him and then proceeds to hit him over the head with it, which makes MJF gush with even more blood from his head. Then they make their way back to the ring, and Hangman pulls out a bag that has like wooden stakes in it, like little ones. And I'm thinking, oh man, is this going underneath someone's nails? No, it was so much worse. Hangman then proceeds to hammer them, tips first, into the top of MJF's head, and then lets go of them so that you can see how many of them are stuck into MJF's scalp.
Yeah.
And then I think, to make matters worse, there was a point where MJF gets a syringe and brings it into the ring, and they completely redo the very controversial spot where MJF
Oh.
puts the syringe through Hangman's cheek and then proceeds to squirt all of whatever was in there
Oh.
through Hangman's cheek, and then tries to hit him with a chair over the top of the head while he's got the syringe
Oh.
still hanging out of it. This was absolutely for the sickos, and it was brutal. There was some comedy, like I said. You had Hangman stapling a "Happy Birthday, Dumbass" card to MJF, and there was another part where Hangman was chasing MJF around the ring with a trash can lid, and MJF is running like the IRS are chasing him. And so he just keeps running, and Hangman eventually stops and just waits, and MJF, sure enough, runs all the way back around to in front of him and catches the trash can lid, like almost like a clothesline. And Hangman just says dumbass. And like somehow Hangman calling you a dumbass is like the worst thing that can happen in the universe. Like he delivers that one insult so sharply that it's just the worst thing ever. It's so good. But on the end of this hellacious match, near the end, Hangman goes and gets a black bag and pulls out a chain. And this chain has a double dog collar on it. And this is apparently a callback to an event that we weren't personally familiar with, where they met up and had this dog collar match in the past. And so he puts it around MJF's neck, and MJF is stumbling out of the ring like, no, not again. And Hangman just proceeds to start dog walking him all around the arena and beating his ass with this thing. And the way we end up near the end of the match, it looks like Hangman has set up MJF after whooping the crap out of him for the buckshot lariat. And this is even after a nutshot lariat counter by MJF. But Hangman, ends up back out on the apron. Well, he takes a little too long, and MJF pops back up with the Dynamite Diamond ring in hand and socks Hangman off the apron, and then proceeds to use the chain to quite literally hang the Hangman. And he hangs him for a good little while until he goes slack, and then he lets go of him. I thought they were going to go for the submission because you can only win Texas Death by losing to failing to answer the 10 count or submission, but they didn't. Instead, he choked Hangman for so long, and Hangman, as he's falling off the apron, his bloody forehead hits the camera. So we end up with this bloody kiss on the camera that we're looking through, while Hangman Page has proceeded to be counted out, and he now can no longer challenge for the AEW world title as long as he lives. And the show ends up going off the air with Hangman being put on a stretcher. He's not conscious. And MJF climbing up onto the stretcher with the championship just on top of Hangman, dominantly holding it up. And that is how we end the show. And everyone's jaw is on the fucking
Oh,
floor because what happens to Hangman now? So that was
yeah.
my thoughts on this incredible main event. I was like, well, they're going to have one hell of a main event to top all of whatever else has happened on Revolution. Well, they did. They did.
They
And
did.
wow. So that is how Revolution played out. That was the phenomenal main event, and that was what we leave the show with. That all said, what was your review of AEW's Revolution?
I think I'm gonna have to give this one a 10. Um, what a I think this is the first pay-per-view for is this the first pay-per-view for AEW for the year? Or did they have
Um,
another one?
off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but it's early on, right? Like
Yeah.
we're
Yeah, like
mid-March, so it
if
might be.
if it's not the first, it's one of the first. I definitely that. And
Yeah.
this is freaking ridiculous. Honestly, this was an amazing like pay-per-view. This was fantastic. I couldn't have asked for anything better. Um, yeah, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 would watch again. Um, would recommend. Absolutely. What did you think?
This was an absolute banger of a pay-per-view. And although
Yeah.
this was a heels up pay-per-view and some of our favorites didn't win, every single match was either good or great. There were a gigaton of surprises, such as returns of Cope and Cage and Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega, as well as new roster members like Ronda Rousey and Mystico. We had 3 title changes if we go ahead and include the national championship moving at the beginning, which was the tail end of 0 Hour. There were absolutely no bad matches. Um, the main event going MJF's way, on the end of this Revolution pay-per-view leaves us wondering what will happen to Hangman going into the future, which is a great cliffhanger to get us to look at Dynamite and Collision. Like, we got to know what
Yeah.
happens to Hangman. So I agree with you. This was absolutely a 10 of 10 pay-per-view. And I mean, if you are a wrestling fan and you're not eyeballing AEW, you're currently doing yourself a disservice. They give you such great in-ring action. Their storylines and their characters have improved dramatically. Their women's division is building out nicely. They've done more with the women's tag team division in like 3 months than WWE has done with either of their mid-card women's belts in like over a year. Um, this is where it's at. AEW is where it's at. They get it. They understand pro wrestling, and they give you like so much. Like this was 10 matches plus the finale of 0 Hour for Revolution. Uh, they really want to make sure you get your money's worth, and they gave us so much. Like this was one where we're like, "Oh, let us catch our breath, AEW." Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Easy 10 of 10 and absolutely top tier.
Yeah.
And with that, this has been our coverage and review of AEW's Revolution 2026. And I want to thank everybody who joined us for this episode. And I invite you to join us for our next episode, which should be our coverage of AEW Dynamite this coming week, where we hopefully find out some of the fallout from Revolution. I can't wait. So please join us for that. But until then, I don't think there's anything left for me to do but roll the outro.
Bye, guys. Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode of Top Tier Wrestling. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the latest wrestling news and shows. You can find us on all major podcast platforms as well as our YouTube channel where we upload all of our episodes. You could also follow us on Instagram and X for updates and to join the conversation. Until next time, everyone, remember, wrestling is always better when it's top tier.